Hey, I thought this was where the magic happened. I'm telling you, man, we talked about it in the pregame. There was a lot of things that we were looking for today. Nasty Nestor was absolutely amazing today, and that's exactly what we expected.
Yeah, as we get to our Hyundai opening comments, Nick, if you try and write a script for a Yankees win in 2024, this would have probably been it, right?
Yeah, there's no right. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I think some people were saying this might be a get-right game for the guys. I mean, obviously going and facing the Marlins. I mean, you know, a team that's 1-10 now, not exactly playing up to their potential. So you got to do those things. You got to get yourself ready. Hey, it doesn't matter who you're playing. Knocks matter. And so I think right now for Nestor to be pitching the way he did today, could not be more proud of him. He went out there and did exactly what we thought we did. We talked about it in the pregame, him locating his pitches, being on the edges, and that's exactly what he did.
Almost 8 flawless innings. He gave up 2 hits to the same player, and that player never left first base. So the Marlins didn't even have a guy reach second base. That shows you how dominant he was. And as we were watching the game in your office, Bob, we saw some of the flashes of the old Nestor Cortez. We saw him dropping down. We saw him with some hesitation moves. And that's who I think he needs to be when he's at his best. He was at his best tonight. And then you get an offense that exploded with Volpe hitting 3-run homers, Soto hitting a 3-run homer. And this was a night where the Yankees could kind of kick back a little bit and exhale. They haven't had a lot of routes this season. This was a route.
Yeah, Nick mentioned on the pregame that we had looked at Nestor Cortez through the prism of get through the first inning and first inning problems. And if we take a look at what happened in his first 2 starts of the season, he pitched in his first 2 starts, 10 innings, 7 runs allowed. He had to find a way to get through the first. As we dig deeper, Nick, what was different for Nestor tonight?
Yeah, I think he was on the corners. You know, we talked about that. He wasn't living in the middle part of the plate, and I think Paul O'Neill said it during the call tonight. His changeup was where it was at. He fell in love with that changeup. He had a good one tonight. And I think, you know, what Matty Blake was talking about is if you're throwing, you know, 92, 93 miles an hour, it's hard to live in the middle part of the plate. That's not where it's going to be. Got to be on the edge. That's exactly where Nestor was tonight. Could not have been more proud of the start that he had. I know the guys are all pumped up. Huge win for the Yankees tonight.
Yeah, he went out there with a plan of aggressiveness and, as Nick said, making sure that he was locating his pitches. We talked about it on the pregame. Be precise with your location. I also thought he mixed in his pitches. We know he's fastball cutter. Nick talked about the changeup. He also featured some sweepers. Through the first 2 innings, only 26 pitches. It took him that much to get through the first inning pretty much in his first 2 starts. So much more economical, much more in command. And let's be honest, it was the Marlins. It's a different lineup than the Astros or the Diamondbacks, but you play who's on your schedule. Yep. And tonight, Cortez made sure he dominated.
All right, as for offense, we threw the spotlight on Anthony Volpe in the way that he has hit on the pregame. So let's take a look at his key at bat as they scored 6 runs in that 4th inning. And what did you see here, Nick?
Yeah, listen, man, staying in the zone. He got called out 2 times tonight on bad pitches, 2 strike threes, which was horrible. And I appreciate the fact that he's not swinging at that. What you're seeing is those pitches that he was swinging and missing up in the zone last year, he's able to get to those. He's able to foul them off to get to that slider down and in. He hits the fastball the other way. He pulls off-speed pitches tonight. Luzardo didn't have great command tonight, and right there with that slider down and in, you can see Volpe dropping the head on that. What is it? 388 feet, 102 miles an hour. We'll take that every day.
Yeah, such a much more confident hitter with more of a plan this season. We talked about how he has eliminated the swing and miss, and those are the numbers on him this season, Bob. But I loved one of the things that Paul O'Neill said during the game. You're gearing up for a fastball. When you get that slider that Luzardo tried to go back foot with, he's ready to do damage, and he's able to take that ball out of the ballpark. Nick is right. He did have a couple of at-bats taken away from him later in the game. I'm sure he won't be thinking about that, or maybe he will be. He should be thinking about the 3-run homer because, man, this kid is off to an amazing start.
Yeah, Nick, sometimes you're sitting there, right, and you're like, I want those 2 at-bats back.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he even let the umpire know. He gave him a Tucson. He's like, yeah, that's twice you got me tonight. But I think the confidence of him tonight is really, really starting to show. Yeah. Obviously, the .417 batting average is amazing. But when you see him step into the batter's box, we see a different Anthony Volpe in that box than we saw last year. When he gets in the batter's box now, we know he's going to be successful. We know he's going to put a quality at bat together, and that's exactly what he's doing.
Well, he hit a 3-run home run in that 4th inning. Juan Soto did as well right after the game. Meredith had the chance to speak with Soto on the field.
Juan, you guys made quick work of the Marlins tonight. Big inning, 6 runs for you guys, 3-run shot by Anthony Volpe. It seemed like good at bat after good at bat. How contagious is the hitting in an inning like that when you're passing the baton?
I mean, it's great. I think we did a great job since the first inning. Get him in deep counts and do another job. I think we did a great, amazing job. I mean, you can see Luzardo, he was it's already breathing hard in the third inning, so we got it on the ropes, and thanks God in the fourth we got that couple runs.
3-run shot for you. Your first here at Yankee Stadium. Overall, what have you thought of the reception of the fans out there in right field? It seems like they love you already.
It's great. It's great. They've been enjoying the game as much as I do, and I'm more than happy to hear all those cheers and everything. I mean, they coming out every day since I've been here, and it's incredible.
You're a guy that typically uses all fields, but knowing the short porch in right field, do you see yourself trying to go out to right more often here at home?
Not at all. I mean, you see in the first at-bat, in the second at-bat, I went opposite field. I'm going to keep trying to do the same thing going opposite field, and if anything hanging and I pull it, it is what it is, but at the end of the day, I'm trying to go where the ball is at.
Strong outing for Nestor Cortes. What impressed you most about what he was doing out there?
I mean, it's incredible. I mean, what he's been doing is great since day one. He's our ace right now, and he's been doing a great job as that ace.
You've been enjoying wearing pinstripes?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's been really fun to play here.
Juan, thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Send it back to you.
All right, Meredith, thank you. Let's go back to his home run in the fourth inning. And Jack, he had the right launch angle. That was lofty.
Yeah, and here's what I love about this at-bat. So he gets a first pitch changeup. He's right on it. Now, the pitch was up in the zone. That's what Soto should do with that. But he saw 9 pitches in his first 2 at-bats. That's a great side angle. And as you said, Bob, gets a lot of launch on that. 9 pitches in the first 2 at-bats. He only saw 1 changeup. So it just shows you the greatness of Juan Soto, that he gets up there for that 3rd at-bat. It's a pitch that Luzardo doesn't throw as often, but he leaves it up in the zone. And Juan Soto, Nick, because he's Juan Soto, just does that to that pitch.
How much fun is it watching this guy play on our side? Just being absolutely amazing. Playing for the Yankees this year, he's been absolutely fantastic. I think what was very impressive about that was he's not normally a first pitch swinging guy.
Yeah.
The first 2 at-bats, we saw he worked the count, right? Opposite field. Next thing you know, just goes to show you leave a ball in the middle part of the plate, Juan Soto's going to hurt you.
You've played right field at Yankee Stadium. I know it's a small sample size, but I know you got a lot of attention out there. I know you used to
do the salute.
Do the salute. Yep. But the fans are enamored with this guy.
Oh, are you kidding me? It's Juan Soto. He is the Juan, if you think about it. I mean, right now, just look at the love. The bleacher creatures know how to give love, and they appreciate the effort and the way he's playing the game right now. He has drastically changed the lineup of the New York Yankees, and it's fun to see him in that number 2 hole each and every day.
All right, so I want to rewind to what happened prior to Soto's at-bat, and that was at the bottom of the lineup. Double by Verdugo, a walk, and then, and speaking of somebody enamored with something, John Birdie lays a bunt down, and Nick was like, what's going on, right? Like they're playing different kind of baseball.
Yeah, there's a little more situational hitting right there. But obviously, you're at the bottom of the lineup. It's your job to roll it back over to the top of the lineup where all the damage is really done. And for John Birdie, just making a name for himself over here in Yankee land, to be doing what he's doing right now, making the bunt, making the plays defensively, I mean, it's good to see.
Yeah,
sets up 2 guys in scoring position at that point. Yeah.
And with DJ LeMahieu going on the IL, I know Cabrera has gotten off to a scorching start, but Birdie is someone who's going to get some playing time, even when LeMahieu comes back. And to Nick's point, you have to know what your skill set is. I would chuckle sometimes when friends of mine would say, how come the Yankees don't bunt more often? And I would say, well, which players do you want to bunt? Because back in the day, Mickey Mantle and Yogi Berra and even Babe Ruth, they did bunt. It's not taught as often. Somebody like John Birdie, though, he should be able to bunt, and we saw that he did it successfully.
I mean, not to jump in real fast, but that just goes to show you the diversity of our lineup, or of the New York Yankees lineup this year compared to last year. So many guys are doing so many different things and creating problems on the defense for the other team.
Volpe and Juan Soto back up. A terrific night by Nestor Cortes. 8 strong shutout innings. With that in mind, let's hear from Aaron Boone and the manager's report, brought to you by Toyota.
Aaron, when Nestor's mixing up his delivery like that, is that just an indication to you that he's extremely comfortable on the mound and with his stuff?
Yeah, and a couple of tough at-bats. You know, Berger put some tough at-bats on him, so I think he just wanted to mix it up a little bit there. But his command was really good. I thought he was getting the ball to spots that he wanted to all night long. Changeup was a factor for him tonight, but just obviously really efficient and a big 8-inning start for us.
It did seem like he liked going to that change tonight. What made that pitch so effective? Yeah,
it's just something they talked about before the game, wanting to use a little bit, and it was good to see him, feature it enough to, he mixed it in the game plan. I thought he did a really good job using it and making it a factor.
You've talked about, as time goes on, you'd like to get more length out of your starters, having to lean heavily on that bullpen. Did you ever envision you'd get 8 out of Nestor?
That was awesome. I'll say it now, we needed it, those are those big games, and, now 2 more into the off day, so a little bit of a reset there. That was a big outing.
How much do you think guys were feeding off of each other in that 4th inning?
Yeah, a lot. It was just, a lot of really good at-bats. Volpe, more outstanding at-bats tonight. Probably should have been on even a couple other times. Birdie perfectly executed the bunt and gave himself a chance to get a hit out of it too. He almost got it by the pitcher there. So just really good at bats to set the table, and then obviously 2 big swings to make it a real good night.
Laura, in the middle to the left.
Obviously, Volpe's been hitting, but what have you thought about his progress and his confidence, especially on the defensive side of the ball?
Well, he won the Gold Glove, so those are 2 special plays he made tonight. The jumps he's getting on those balls, the second one, the backhand short hop into the slide to get momentum into his throw, just an outstanding play. And then you couple that with what he's doing night in and night out, at bat after at bat. He's playing great.
Laura, could you just hand it to Brent? Thank you.
I don't think I've seen you jump out of a dugout that fast in a while. You surprised to see him get a little heated with the ump on the strike 3 call?
No, I haven't watched it back. I'm assuming it was pretty far in there, and I thought kind of one went against him in his previous at bat. So, So that's, you're locked in like that, and you're putting together really good at bats, and you have the nerve to take close pitches like that and don't get rewarded. We're human. You react a little bit.
Ron.
Were there times last summer during the injuries that you and Matt had to boost Nestor's confidence just to keep believing in himself that there was another side he'd get to?
I don't know. I think I'm sure we had conversations like that with him, but the one thing with Nestor, if he's healthy and going, I don't worry about his confidence. Like, he can, he knows he's good, and he's now had success in this league, extended success there for a couple years as a starter. He just couldn't recover last year, and in between starts, and then he'd have a decent start and kind of run out of gas a little bit and just have a hard time recovering in between. So he couldn't really work on things. The biggest thing for Nestor is just, I think really selling out and committing to the things he had to do to get himself ready. And it started at the back half of last year when he was rehabbing and coming back all the way to getting on the mound there. And I think October he threw a bullpen, and then before taking some time off and then ramping back up properly. He's done a really good job with just his daily commitment to doing everything to be healthy and to build properly.
I know he won the Gold Glove last year, but even just now in the early going, have you seen improvements and strides from Anthony in the field?
I felt like I was watching a Gold Glover last year. So is he improved? I don't know. He's the Gold Glove shortstop in the American League. Like, sure, I hope he continues to get a little bit better all the time, but I watched that all year last year.
Randy.
I understand it's still very early. This 9-2 start match is the best ever. What are your big takeaways from this start? And do you think that part of this has something to do with how the team finished last year, being maybe more hungry to really get going right from the beginning?
I think there's an element of that. I think it sharpened everyone's focus in the winter and certainly into spring training, and a seriousness with how we got ready. A lot of team pride and individual pride of wanting to, do all we can to not have last year happen, and knowing we need to do all we can to make sure this is a success. What was it?
Biggest takeaway
Oh, I would say that the contributions we've got from the entire roster. You know, I feel like we've been a solid offense night in, night out. That said, you know, we don't have everyone going off right now at the plate necessarily. I feel like we've been solid on defense and made really important defensive plays and winning moments. We've done a pretty good job on the bases. Our starters, you know, prior to tonight, we haven't got a ton of length necessarily yet, but by and large, they've done a really good job of giving us a chance to win every night. And then different guys have been able to step up too in the bullpen. So it's been a little bit of everyone that's allowed us to get off to this start. But I'll echo what you said. It's 11 games in. We got a long way to go.
Okay. Thank you, Aaron.
Well, 11 games in, while we talk a lot about Anthony Volpe's offense over those first 11, we're talking a lot about his defense, too.
Yeah, he plays shortstop at a frenetic pace. He plays it very quickly. And on a play like this, to be able to steady himself and make the throw across the diamond. One more look at this to, first of all, get to the ball, and as Boone said, use his body to allow himself to hop up very quickly. Spoke to Anthony about his defense in spring training. Well, there's the offense again. But he said playing at a park at 92nd in Lexington with his dad, he needed to be fast because he needed to use his legs. You never knew what kind of bad hops you were going to get. He obviously did a little hitting at 92nd in Lexington as well. But, guys, he's 3 weeks shy of his 23rd birthday. He's still a baby. He's still a kid. And we're watching him develop even more before our eyes. I think the Yankees did a smart thing last year in letting him mature at the major league level. It's not always the Yankees' way.
Right.
Sometimes they want to see you go to AAA, get those 500 at-bats. They decided Volpe was the guy. And, Nick, they let him go through the peaks and valleys of 23. And now they're seeing the fruits of that.
There's no doubt. I mean, I think when they made that decision last year for Anthony Volpe to make the big league roster, they made a decision that regardless, good or bad, we were sticking with, or they were going to stick with him. And I think that because of that, you're reaping the benefits of what a full season in the major leagues can do, not only for your confidence, but for your overall production as well. I love the fact that he's hitting the ball to all fields. I think the fact that, yes, the defensive, I mean, you're asking questions about his defense. The guy won the Gold Glove, dude. He's the best defensive shortstop in the game, if you're thinking about it. So I think for me, more than the defensive side, I expect that because he has gold to prove that. The offensive side is what we need to continue to see. 417 leading the league right now in batting average. I don't think anybody would have thought this would be happening right now except for people in the New York Yankee organization.
So we've talked a lot about the lineup. John Flaherty has been there, and I think there is a thought that maybe eventually Volpe will ascend in the lineup. I know some people would put him lead off right now. I think you and I are simpatico. I kind of like him where he is right now.
I do too. I love the way the lineup is going right now. I think Aaron Boone has done a tremendous job of putting the hot guys in. If you noticed, Anthony Rizzo was hitting behind Aaron Judge at the start of the season. Now Giancarlo is in that spot right now, who, by the way, had another 2 knocks tonight with a good load. So I think just in general, it's so much fun to watch this team. There's a joy about this team. There's an excitement about this team. And I think every fan that's a New York Yankee fan right now would understand what I'm talking about. Last year was not exactly the year that Yankee fans would want to see, but this year is so far.
But what does it say about Volpe, too, that he is able to make the adjustment to the inside pitch tonight and take it up and out, but there's not enough ego to say, well, when it's a fastball, I want to pull it too. Like, he's okay just going the opposite way. Some young hitters never get to that spot.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt about it, but I also think just in general, to your point, Jack, there's no pressure where he's hitting in the lineup. You know, he doesn't feel like he has to go out and do anything. He can just be himself. And I think that's the best thing that you can give a player is the freedom to be themselves, the authenticity of who he is, and the fact that he is as dynamic as he is offensively, as he is defensively, as he is on the base pass. We are talking about, I mean, I don't want to jump the gun here, but we're talking about a special player, and we're blessed to be able to see him play every night.
Yeah, I think he's on an all-star path. Again, it's 11 games. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but he does have a Gold Glove on his mantle. And I think to your question, Bob, he's closed off that hole, that up and in where pitchers were going after him. We talked about that in the pregame. He hit under 200 against pitches in the upper third of the zone. But Paul O'Neill pointed out tonight, too, they are coming inside a little more. So is that something that teams are now going to say, well, maybe we got to go back in there against this kid because he's hitting everything the opposite way, and then it'll be his turn to counteract that.
No doubt, especially in the inside half with velocity.
Yeah.
That's kind of where the issues kind of started last year. But I think just where he's at right now, he is in a groove. He is doing his thing. Let him stay where he is. Marinate right there, Anthony. Stay there, brother. You're doing your thing. It's a blast to watch, man. And the Yankees are doing their thing. Best record in the big leagues right now. Nestor Cortez, 8 innings, man. Could not have been more proud of what he was able to accomplish tonight. He needed that.
All right.
There is a speed bump on the front. 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 There is a speed bump on the front.